Look. Oh, you guys, since it's the Silksong era, we gotta figure out when it's gonna drop. All right, that's what we're here to do today. So we're gonna figure it out, you guys. Well, before I get started, thank you all for being here. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Corey, and please drop a like and a sub. It helps out so much. Helps this small little channel grow. You know, we're almost at 2K. At 2K, you'll get the banana lore video. I promise you, it's gonna be amazing. Let's talk Silksong though. I want to figure out when Silksong could come out. Now, that might be a little impatient. I get it. Look, we just got the confirmation for 2025, and I am so happy. I am so thrilled. We got, you know, a new enemy footage that looks really cool. He looks like a, you know, like a false knight, little mini version, but he's like got some souped up little hammer or something. Who knows? We saw the slopes. You know, everybody's going crazy for the slopes right now. You know, we also have some context clues that I think we can use. I think we can use them. Now, Ecstasis, the leaker, said there's an internal date that says no later than June. So let's just end. This game is not coming out after June. There's no way Silksong will be out July 1st or anytime after. We will get it before. Now, let's also take what Leth has said in the past, where he wants to be smart about it. Hollow Knight 1, calling it Hollow Knight 1 is crazy. Hollow Knight, when it released, it came out, what, a week before Breath of the Wild? Or like the week of Breath of the Wild? It came out hand in hand with Breath of the Wild. I don't know what all is in their wheelhouse and what isn't now, because in one of my last videos I talked about all the Twitter, you know, the Twitter response for Silksong and the online response, and it seemed way larger for Silksong than it did for a lot of this Nintendo Switch stuff. I don't know. Call me crazy, but it looked that way. So if we really think about it, you know, there's not a lot of stuff that I think is going to outweigh Silksong anymore. You know, Hollow Knight was way different. Hollow Knight was an indie game that no one even knew about. No one had ever played it at that point, really, besides testers, you know, maybe some people at, you know, conventions and whatnot. But Silksong's in a way different place. And if you ask me, Silksong is it's in the S tier of gaming now, whatever you want to call it. It's in the top of it's in the creme de la creme. It's the A list. Silksong is an A list game. It may not be from a AAA studio, but Silksong is an A list game now. And I don't think there's a lot that can interrupt Silksong. So while I'm using this as a point of, I don't think there's a lot that's really getting in the way of Silksong anymore. Now, let's look at what could be coming up. We got all these games in April, right? So we got tons of, you know, we got a few games April 1st, a few games April 2nd, a few games April 3rd, a few April 4th. Looks like the beginning of April is just a lot of games. But, you know, a few of these are indies, remasters, you know, some stuff that's a lot of just PC games. So that, you know, that already is just not very limiting. So look, April is looking great so far. You know, I guess it's already what, April 3rd. So yeah, look, April does look great because there's not a lot going on right now. You know, there's a few games that I may have heard of more, but there's nothing I know that people are like going crazy for. Nothing on this is of Silksong level. I mean, Indiana Jones on PS5, that's kind of big, I guess. But I don't think that's hurting them. Claire Obscure, this is the other game that Xbox mentioned, April 24th. Yeah, look, there's a lot. But you got the 30th, 20, you know, it's pretty scattered. There's not really like an open window here, you know. It's not like too big of an open window where there's just no games coming out. But April all around looks really great. And now let's just get into May real quick because we only have 2 other months to go over. Now, May is where it starts to get a little tricky for me because you got Doom, the Dark Ages right here. Now, I don't know how large Doom is and still is, but I know that this game is being talked about quite a bit. And I know that it looks kind of interesting going like kind of, the Dark Ages and it kind of being like, this shooter, but it's also like, I don't know, like this medieval, I don't know. But it looks kind of interesting to where I think that has a good enough amount of interest. Like they don't want to come out May 15th. I don't think they want to come out May 15th. I don't think that Doom really changes much for Silksong, but I think that they'd want to avoid Doom. And then Elden Ring, the big one. This is the one that is throwing the huge wrench into everything right now because Elden Ring is the one to worry about. Elden Ring is the only thing I think actually dropping between now and June to worry about. So anywhere around May 30th, we're not getting Silksong. I don't think we're getting Silksong. And this is where it gets really interesting because from all my theories, right, if we're not getting it by the end of the June, Summer Games Fest is Summer Games Fest June 5th, the day the Switch comes out? Is that real? But if Summer Games Fest is June 5th, that's also the day the Switch comes out. God, is that the Shadow Drop date? Is that the Shadow Drop? That's going to be my backup choice. That's my backup choice is that June 5th is the Shadow Drop date. But I don't think that's the case. I think that, I don't know. I just think that it has to come before June, and they don't want to be around Night Rain. And I also think that it would be smart to get out right before the Switch 2. So that the time the Switch 2 launches, it's just there in the shop available. Because there's not going to be, there may not be a whole lot. I mean, I guess the shop will still be open from like Switch 1 games, but it'd be great to have Silksong there before the Switch 2 drops. But June 5th is a very good day to Shadow Drop. And let's look at June real quick. June 5th. All right, look, June 5th is not a good date. Let me just say that now that we're in June, because I remember thinking about this yesterday when I was thinking about this whole video, and June 5th is not a great date. You got Deltarune. You got Mario Kart World. You got, what else is dropped? You got all the stuff that's porting over to Switch, June is not good. You got Tamagotchi Plaza. Look, people went crazy for that. People were really mad at me for calling that first direct bad because it had Tamagotchi Plaza on it. I never played that, but, I'm not going to hate. I'm sorry. I don't think it's coming in June. You got Death Stranding 2. That's a pretty big game as well. You got a Five Nights at Freddy's game. That might be big for the kids. June is not a great month for Silksong at all. May isn't even the best month, but there's some spots in there. So, but then April is a lot better. There's tons of games dropping in April, I guess, but like it's nothing that's like really gonna affect Silksong too much. So, if we look at a calendar, let's look at May 15th. You got Doom: The Dark Ages, and then Elden Ring, Night Ring, May 30th. May 30th. So, you got Doom: The Dark Ages dropping this Thursday. You got Elden Ring, Night Ring basically dropping on the 29th because it'll probably be out at midnight or maybe like 11, a little bit early. So, you got the 8th and the 29th. Or the 15th and the 29th. You know where I'm putting my money, guys? I'm putting my money on May 1st. 2nd. May 2nd, midnight release on the 1st or whatever. May 1st and 2nd. That's the release window for it. It'll be here. It'll give you plenty of time before Night Rain. Most people will actually probably end up beating it before even Doom: The Dark Ages. So like 2 weeks before even a big game release is probably enough time to not even war. You can get that. You can get all those initial players to get in there and beat it and not have to be distracted by any other game, make their content, and then slowly all the casuals will start to come in if they're not there yet. So yeah, Silksong, May 2nd. What do you guys think? What is your date? Maybe I'll put the link to my Discord in here because I do have a little Discord channel that's called Silksong Release Date Competition. And I reset it since we got a 2025 confirmation. So everybody who joins my Discord can put one date in there that doesn't conflict with someone else's. If two people pick a date, I'll buy them both the copy. But whoever gets the closest date to Silksong release, I'll buy you Silksong. Anyway, see you guys. Have a good one. Bye.